A deep resonant knowing often arrives through the hands before it arrives through the intellect. You know, I spent most of my life trying to understand my way out of pain, my childhood, all of the trauma that was there. Those more recent years of compressed trauma, of illness, of grief, of loss, estrangement, heartbreak, despair. I honestly believed all of my life that if I could just understand enough, I'd finally be free. I've actually got the library to prove it. Twice over. Years ago, before the fire, I had an incredible collection of books. Then I made that big move to the house that burnt down, and I decided it was time to let them all go. It just didn't make sense to carry them all anymore. Then there was the fire. Then estrangements, betrayals in my relationship. Health issues piled on top of one another. My partner leaving, my partner coming back, caregiving, then losing him to a rare and terminal cancer diagnosis. Somewhere in the midst of all that, I actually started buying books again. I think it was when my partner left me. It was so entirely inexplicable to me. I really just didn't see it coming. So I started buying books to try to understand, but I also took trainings and I got certifications and one more book, one more course, one more modality that might finally have the answer over and over. And it was like I was on fire, all in an effort to understand. In reality, I wasn't looking for more education or expertise. I was looking for relief. I thought that understanding my pain, whatever it was, would somehow get rid of it, mitigate it, make it all better somehow. Whatever better looked like, I didn't really even know. You know, I love learning. I still read. I still study. I study the human condition, my own condition. I study music in all its capacities, art the same. I'm even contemplating developing a perfume house. So you've got to know, understanding really does have an important place in my life. But somewhere in the middle of all of that, a different kind of knowing started to show up. There were nights I remember in my childhood where I was curled up in the fetal position and cried myself to sleep, more times than not. And then everything that happened over those 5 compressed years, I found myself there again. None of my certifications stopped that. None of the books made any of it any better. Nothing to do with understanding helped. N-O-N-E. None of it made a difference. There's a certain thing I think it's very easy to fall into that we may not see until we're just pushed right up to the edge of our human experience, of what we feel like we can hold. So often the clarity can only come through like a sky parting open to light from a very dark storm. And that doesn't have anything to do with how we think about things. Shortly after my beloved died, I was working with a therapist, very briefly. And I've shared the story before because it was an important part of my journey. The therapist talked about how important it is to be witnessed and seen. And honestly, I couldn't agree more. I think one of the greatest gifts we can give another human being is our presence, to stay with them, to listen, to sit beside them, breath to breath, heart to heart, shoulder to shoulder. That really does matter, and it mattered to me a lot. But she was also trying to fix me, and it wasn't what I needed or wanted. I didn't need another rehash of my childhood wounds or to try on another modality. I knew them. I had done that in spades already in my life. I had felt it all. I'd understood it. I'd been witnessed many times. What I didn't know was how important it was to stay with myself and what that meant. Again, not in the thinking of the experience, not in my thinking mind's understanding of my experience. Usually that's the story or our interpretations that we come up with. And I don't mean to say that you can't have your story. Of course you can. But my story and all of my mind's wanderings and figurings, simply put, can't be the foundation that gave me capacity to hold all of that really hard stuff or to move through it. I started recognizing the difference between understanding that comes from the mind and deep knowing, deep recognition. That comes from experiencing. I didn't come to conscious awareness because I stumbled across some exciting new idea. Believe me, I wasn't looking for another idea. I came to it because I was desperate. Thinking wasn't enough. There were moments when life hurt so much. My skin felt like it was raw and peeling off, and I couldn't think my way through that. And little by little, I began discovering that conscious awareness just wasn't another thing to learn, to understand with my mind. It was something to recognize. And you know, the minute we start using language to explain these things, it can get very complex because the thinking mind always wants to jump in and be a part of it all. But at this level of conscious awareness that we're talking about, it's really not possible to have that kind of access with the thinking mind, which brings me to 2 invitations that I have for you today. The first is an invitation to my 7-day email orientation. It's orientation to conscious awareness, capacity, and choice. And the second is my workshop, Coming Alive Again, from Overwhelm to Steady Ground. You can get more information about it all in the links that are in the video description above and in the comment section below. I really do think they could be of benefit to you. That's why I made them. I made them for you. Conscious awareness is a place where you can have a direct experience of the sun beginning to rise again. That's a metaphor for being able to stay with yourself. To stay with yourself and recognize the capacity that comes with that. And then, of course, choice points appear. Conscious awareness has always been here. A place that can hold my grief, my fear, my heartbreak, my confusion, my suffering, even happiness and joy, because honestly, that can all get a bit giddy and weird sometimes too. Think toxic positivity, or that everything has to have that point of view. Conscious awareness doesn't ask me to get rid or change any of it. There is enough capacity in conscious awareness to have the next conversation with myself or whomever, enough capacity to keep living in my life, even when life remained outrageously difficult. Maybe you've done what I've done. Maybe you've read the books, taken the trainings, tried one more modality after another. Maybe every one of them helped a little bit. I know many of them have helped me. But maybe you've also noticed that when life really cracks open, when grief comes, when the fear is here, when old wounds get touched, understanding isn't always enough. For me, that's why conscious awareness has just become so central. It's something that can actually be recognized in your own direct experience. I'm loving the fact that I can invite you to my free 7-day email series. It's a gentle introduction to conscious awareness and how it begins restoring our capacity to meet life as it is. And if you'd like to go a little deeper, in just a few weeks, I'll be offering the very first workshop called called Coming Alive Again, from Overwhelm to Steady Ground. It won't be about collecting more ideas. For gosh sake, most of us have enough ideas already. It's going to be an experience, a place where you can begin recognizing this for yourself, your experience. Because the deepest knowing doesn't always arrive through the intellect. Sometimes it arrives through our direct experience of living. Thanks so much for being here today. I'll see you soon.